In the beginning, when I joined the shipping industry, there were some programs for training future female leaders, and those were all very much focused on actually making women adjust to the male industry that they're working in. And I think that's the wrong thing, right? Because we need to stay true to ourselves and be authentic. And yeah, the shipping industry needs those female traits as well. So just coming across more powerful by putting your hands on the table or looking less young by cutting off your hair, that does not help that industry develop. It's more about changing the way that men perceive us rather than us adjusting to the male environment that we're in.
Welcome to the Shipping Podcast, where I meet interesting maritime professionals sharing their passion for the shipping industry and their everyday job. I am your host. My name is Lena Gothberg. Happy New Year 2023 and welcome to episode 205 of the Shipping Podcast. I hope you're well and that the coming year will bring you joy and prosperity. As you can hear, I'm continuing to podcast. Every time I think, well, now this is enough. I've done enough interviews. I would probably stop doing this. Then I meet someone new that I want you to listen to. And I invite them as guests to the Shipping Podcast, and here we go again. I'm back to my routines now, so I'm doing it a little bit further. A few more of those, I think. Or what do you think? Send me some feedback, and I will know. In this episode, I'm in conversation with Dita Bruijn, the director North Sea of P&amp Ferries. Dita is a true global maritime professional with an exciting career in the liner business, who has now taken on the challenge of working with ferries. The sky is the limit, it sounds like, when listening to Dita. I hope you will enjoy our conversation. Welcome to the Shipping Podcast. Could you please introduce yourself?
Hi, my name is Dita Bruijn. I'm director North Sea at P&amp Ferries, and very happy to be on the podcast. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. What is your background?
So I started working in shipping a long time ago, in 2007, as a management trainee, working for Maersk. And I never left the industry anymore after that. It's been a very exciting journey. I got the chance to work in different companies, in different countries, meet a lot of great people. Yeah, so I've been working in the shipping industry for almost 15 years now.
So you lost your heart in this industry. But what did you do before? What education do you have?
I studied something very general because I didn't really know what I wanted to do. I was quite creative as a kid, and I wanted to use my creativity and also learn different languages. So I studied international business and languages, which is a little bit of everything and not a lot of anything specific. From there, I was very young when I graduated, and I wanted to do something, not a 9-to-5 job, but something where I could continue to develop myself. So I started looking out for traineeships and in different industries, and that's how I finally coincidentally ended up in shipping. Maersk was looking for management trainees, and for some reason I fit exactly the profile they were looking for, and I got selected together with 400 other trainees from all over the world. And that's how I learned all about shipping. And I come from the south of the Netherlands, where you hardly see any containers. So a whole new world opened up for me. And suddenly I saw containers everywhere on the road. Yeah, but as you say, I lost my heart to the industry then, you could say.
It's the same as when you buy a new car. If you buy a red car, all of a sudden everyone's got a red car.
Exactly.
That's all you can see.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, but I'm going back to what you said. It's coincidentally that you found a traineeship here. I think we are rather bad at recruiting people in this industry. So what made you stop and think, this is what I want to do?
Yeah, I agree to that. We are rather bad at it. And also Maersk is a very big anonymous company as an outsider, right? Even though the shipping industry is everywhere and it touches on many aspects of daily life, it's not very accessible necessarily for people outside the industry. I love sailing, so I had a personal passion for ships and water. So that made me attracted to the industry. But definitely, the shipping industry should become more present, less anonymous, and more out there to attract different people and talent from all over the world.
I know that you are speaking at schools or universities, or you meet a lot of students. What do you tell them about the industry when you meet them?
Yeah, that it's a very exciting industry to work in. That it's also not a mill industry. It's really interesting for everyone. And so that, yeah, I try to convey my passion for shipping to young people. And of course, it's a very personal choice, right? You follow your intuition and you work in something that you enjoy, and that seems interesting to you. And I just want to, yeah, convey that message that shipping is for many different people, and also given the development that the industry is going through at the moment, a lot is happening. We need new skills and we need people with different backgrounds and talents to bring the shipping industry to the next level. So we can't continue to rely on just seafarers or people who have a lot of experience working in office jobs in the shipping industry to be the future leaders. We also need to bring new skills into the industry. And that's extremely important if we want to go through important transformations like digitalization that we're going through at the moment.
I totally agree with you. I just want other people to say the same thing as I usually say, because I think it's so important. And I do know that I have a lot of young people listening to this podcast. So I also want them to know that we are aware. We're just trying to maybe change the message or get the understanding of what we are offering the young people, what it seems like and what we think we are offering. I mean, that is two different things, what it looks like from the outside and what we actually offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And skills like data science or developing, that's maybe not necessarily a skill that you would associate with shipping. However, if yesterday I was at Rotterdam World Gateway Terminal and a fully automated terminal, if you look at the skills that people that work there have, it's really analyzing data, for example, of specific crane productivity, looking at under what circumstances the crane is more productive or less productive, and then optimizing based on data. So it's a whole different skill set that is required today in the shipping industry versus what it was 20 years ago, where it was more important that you knew exactly how a bill of lading was put together. And yeah, it has just changed very rapidly over the past years.
So what are the biggest changes that you have seen during your career in the maritime industry?
Yeah, quite a lot. But I would say the biggest one is digitalization. And that is something that started perhaps 10 years ago when people thought, we have a lot of data. What can we do with that data? And then actually an appetite started for collecting more and more data. Ships, for example, have a lot of data on weather at sea, tidal windows. So with that background, that increase began on collecting data and then on automating certain processes. And that's also how I then joined the Port of Rotterdam 4 years ago, because the Port of Rotterdam actually said, we see that this trend is ongoing. Shipping is becoming more digital. We're going to start a sort of innovation lab within the port to create new digital solutions to optimize the industry and to digitalize the industry. And I thought that was a really important change to be a part of. So that's when I left Damco and I joined the Port of Rotterdam to start working on that digitalization trend in the industry. And I would say that, yeah, perhaps since the invention of the container, digitalization is the biggest change in the industry.
So maybe there is a lap now from when you were a trainee at Maersk. What did you do after your traineeship? until today. So maybe we should talk a little bit about that.
After my traineeship, the company was going through an organizational restructuring, and so I wanted to expatriate. I was 23 years old when I finished, and I wanted to expatriate and see the world. And I didn't want to settle in a 9-to-5 job in the Netherlands. So I actually moved to South America, to Peru. I wanted to learn Spanish, and I wanted to see that part of the world. So I, in my best Spanish, did multiple job interviews, which was a real challenge. And I landed a job at Kuehne and Nagel doing procurement of sea freight rates. So that was excellent to perfect my Spanish language, having to talk to different shipping lines, negotiate sea freights, and secure allocation on ships. And from that role, after 3 months, my manager said, I really believe in you, and would you like to set up the export department of Kuehne and Nagel in Peru? And so I said, yeah, of course, it sounds like a great challenge. So I started setting up the export department out of Lima, and then also opened an office in Paita in the north of the country. Yeah, and really engaged with exporters, so farmers and exporters of fresh produce, to set up export flows to the US and to Europe of mangoes, avocados, asparagus, all kinds of fresh products. So that's what I did there for almost 3 years.
And
Then I decided that I did not want to stay in South America. It's not a super safe place for women alone. It's it's quite a hard and unsafe country to live in. Then I decided I wanted to go back to the Netherlands, and I rejoined Maersk actually. So I worked as a trade lane manager for South America and for South Africa, engaging with exporters there, but also with importers in Europe. And I was managing the reefer department in Rotterdam. So the team that was doing all of the sea freight bookings and all of the truck bookings, from A to B. And after 2 years, actually, my manager then approached me and said, listen, we're going to do an organizational restructuring. And I need somebody to manage that for me. Would you like to do that? And I have been through many organizational restructurings working for Maersk and Kuehne and Nagel, and I thought this is an excellent opportunity to actually do a better job, because often the communication around organizational restructuring is not always optimal. And I thought it was a great opportunity to do something very difficult and unpopular in the best possible way. So I did that for a year, and we consolidated different operational departments of Damco into one customer service office, a CSO, in the Benelux. And that helped then increase efficiency and consolidate all activities in one center for better customer experience.
And you ended up not being in that organization anymore. Was that your goal with the entire change? Or?
Yeah, well, actually, I never look at it that way, right? Because the world is constantly changing, so you cannot really hold on to a specific role. It's more about finding work, I would say. And from that, I moved to the headquarters of Damco, and I joined a project that actually was born out of this organizational restructuring. It was around continuous improvement. So we had created all of these customer service offices around the world for Damco. And now we needed to implement Lean Six Sigma to sort of clean up and optimize after that reorganization. And so I traveled the world for 2 years, visiting all those different customer service offices and doing process optimization, restructuring the organization, making sure that they had the right skills, really a sort of cleanup after that consolidation exercise that we did.
And now you are the director of North Sea for P&amp Ferries. So what does that entail?
That means that I'm responsible for all of the ports and routes for P&amp Ferries on the North Sea. So that's 5 different ports: Europort in Rotterdam, Zeebrugge, and then Hull, Teesport, and Tilbury. it's a very exciting role because the ferry industry was totally new to me. I had worked in forwarding and container shipping, but never ferries. And for example, it also includes passengers, right? So that was a first. I've worked with freight my whole life. And it's the ferry industry is very interesting. It's high level, a similar process to container shipping, but it's all just a lot faster. And it's all about flexibility and connecting to hinterland connections. So it's very challenging. And a lot of people ask me when I joined P&O Ferries, are you sure? Because it's just letting a ship sail from A to B at the same time every day. And it sounds a little bit boring. But actually, if you look at what it takes to get a ship to sail from A to B at the same time with a good utilization and efficient sailing, it's not easy at all, right? It's really challenging. It looks easy.
And happy passengers on top of that.
And happy passengers, yeah. And it's basically the top of the RoPax ship that we have between Europort and Hull is a hotel, and then the bottom part is full with cargo. So it's two completely different streams that we have there going through our terminals and on our ships. And all customers have to be happy, and all business has to be profitable. So, no, it's very exciting.
Mm. Have you ever thought about you being a female in a male-dominated environment during your career?
Yeah, of course I have. And I must say that in the beginning of my career, I was not very aware of it. Maybe you could even say a little bit naive, but it's just how I was raised, right? That you have equal opportunities and you're basically the same. So I also never looked at the shipping industry as being a particular male industry. I just thought ships, very exciting and great opportunities, international, lots of opportunity to travel and meet people. But I did learn throughout the years that you're different, right? Because it is a male-dominated environment, and you're different, and that sometimes brings some challenges with it, but also sometimes it's a positive thing to be different.
So when did you first realize that it was an advantage to be a woman in the man's world?
Yeah, I think that realization came slowly, but probably already at my first job working at customer service. Yeah, we sometimes had to bring very bad news to people if we would short ship their containers. And the team and myself, we figured out that customers did not get as angry with me as with some of the male colleagues. So then I often had to bring the bad news to customers, which was okay with me. And also probably because, one of the female traits is to be very empathetic and listening and also sensitive. So I would really explain to customers that I was very sorry and that I understand it's difficult and bad news. However, so that's probably in my first job, I already experienced that difference, but I didn't really realize it until later. So that realization came in little by little.
Yeah, I think I've realized that also gradually, but one of the things were when you enter a room full of dark suits, then you realize everyone looks at you. Everyone remembers you because you are the odd one out in a way.
Yeah, and that can be an advantage and that can be a disadvantage. Yep. What I often realized is that I was underestimated, also because I was young and a female, and then I'm kind to people. Then people think that probably they can hijack your point in a meeting, or that probably they can ask you to do certain things. So it's sometimes an advantage and sometimes a disadvantage, but I more often found it an advantage actually to be different.
Yeah, I got another story to tell about that. When I was much younger, I was working in an office for marine insurance, and we had an Asian client.
Mm-hmm.
And it was easier for the client to talk to me as a woman and put the so-called stupid questions to me. But when we had meetings, I was not the one delivering the answers, but I had told my male colleagues what my clients or our clients were thinking about, so they could explain it in a more understandable way, so to say.
Yeah, and I think that in the beginning, when I joined the shipping industry, there were some programs for training future female leaders, and those were all very much focused on actually making women adjust to the male industry that they're working in. And I think that's the wrong thing, right? Because we need to stay true to ourselves and be authentic. And yeah, the shipping industry needs those female traits as well. So just coming across more powerful by putting your hands on the table or looking less young by cutting off your hair, that does not help that industry develop. It's more about changing the way that men perceive us rather than us adjusting to the male environment that we're in. One of the things, for example, that I did when I joined P&O Ferries, I took over after a long time of male leadership, and everybody was complaining about the coffee, how the coffee was not good at all. And the first thing I actually did was change the coffee machines to make sure that everybody had nice coffee, because that's very important to do a good job, that you have decent coffee.
And how hard can it be?
Yeah. How hard can it be, right? And one of the women at the office came to me and said, "Oh, finally we have a woman in the house, and who looks after these kind of important details."
Yeah, and inclusion and diversity is not the responsibility of the women, as you said. It's the responsibility of ours together, both men and women, if we want to survive in the future, and also to invite the next generation, because they will not put up with something that is not equal for everyone.
Absolutely, yeah, it's a shared responsibility, and women, by the way, also really need to take their responsibility. And there are some things that I sometimes see, and I think, don't do that as a woman, such as in a job interview, always talk about we instead of I. So selling yourself short a bit. Yeah, also when applying for jobs, thinking that, oh, I only meet 80% of the job description. Probably somebody else is better than me. No, sometimes, and then I say, you have to think more like a man and go for it, because that's the more male take on things, to say, hey, I meet 80% of the job description, probably, I'm the right candidate. So be a bit more bold and go for the things that you want to go for. And that's really important, that also women take their responsibility in making the industry more diverse, or making any industry more diverse for that matter.
But what can the men do to actually get more females into the industry and also help them to develop and reach leadership positions?
Yeah, I think for men, the most important thing is unconscious bias, because it's a common thing that you hire things that you recognize in yourself. And you see that also in big organizations, right? That you have a lot of Dutch men at the top or a lot of Danish men at the top. And so there is a thing as unconscious bias. And step one would be to be aware of that. And then a second step could be that perhaps you try to break through that by saying, oh, I have a job opening, and these are the 5 resumes that I like, but I just want to make sure that I haven't selected for a copy of myself. And you ask a woman to also do a selection. So just get a second opinion and see if you have been sensitive to nationality or gender in your selection process. I think that could be a healthy thing to do. But it starts with just being aware. And I'm totally against positive discrimination, by the way. I don't think that's the right thing to do, to specifically start recruiting for women or people of different nationalities. You need to find the best candidate for the job, but you do need to make sure that there's no unconscious bias playing a role in your selection procedure.
I agree with you, and I'm also against quota. I've always been against that. But what I think is maybe we should have a quota in the election committees when it comes to boardrooms, or more than just men in the election committee. I think it starts there, because it's also got to do with your network. I mean, there is some dots to connect there, that if there is an election committee of only men to the boardroom, we will have the same line of candidates because we have different networks.
Yeah, no, I really like that idea. But to get to select in executive jobs for women, I think that's very dangerous, because then also you scare away some good women who do not want to be selected just because they are a woman.
No, I was thinking about boardrooms, because we need to change there as well.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, no, and that's a good one, because then also you have a sort of different example representation there, which may inspire women to apply.
Yeah, because we need different perspectives also in the boardroom to lay out a roadmap to the future, and strategies and things like that. We need to consider so many other things than we used to do in the past if we want to reach the future with our company.
Yeah.
So how will the shipping industry become more visible to the young people? I'm coming back to the young people because I think it's so important. We are competing with the Googles and the Facebooks and everyone else for the next generation. But no one knows about us outside our own industry. So how can we become more visible to the people we want to attract?
Yeah, that's probably another new skill that we need to bring into the industry that has to do with growth marketing and just being visible online, showing the world how the shipping industry is actually contributing to daily life, how we are all customers of the shipping industry, how if supply chains stop, everything stops. And marketing that is really important for many different reasons, not just to attract talent, but also with the pressure on decarbonization, and also the increasing bad image of shipping and shipping's role in that. It's really important to increase the awareness, and so there online marketing becomes really important, and we also haven't been very good at that in shipping at all.
No, if you image Google seafarer, you get Popeye or Captain Haddock or something, and that is completely wrong of our image today. I mean, there's so many other things you could show.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And also, what we are doing as an industry to increase efficiency, to become greener. Yeah, it's there's a lot of exciting news to communicate about shipping that we should be communicating. And I sometimes try to do that as well myself on LinkedIn, just sharing stories from the port, photos from the ports, because it's really very interesting, and it's not something that should be hidden away in a corner, but something that should be shown to the world.
What do you think about the future for the maritime industry in general? Where are we heading?
Oh, that's a big question. I think we are following some other industries, right? We're a bit behind on digitalization for very obvious reasons. The shipping industry is asset heavy. It's based on very old contracts. It's just not very fast and not very easy to change, because the consequences are huge if you change a process, or if you change something that is today analog into something digital. So I think we are behind some of the other industries like banking and insurance and healthcare. But it's exciting because nobody knows where it's going to go, and also it's not going to be a copy paste from another industry. We're really reinventing things ourselves and applying technologies and best practices from other industries to our industry in a way that it makes sense, because copy pasting would not achieve any results. We need to make sure that we have a goal in mind, and then we apply all the different tools and technologies to achieve that goal.
What do you see? Where are we? In what area are we doing progress?
I would say that in many different areas, you see things are evolving, and innovation happens also in the places where most of the money is, because innovation is just expensive. So you see innovation happening at shipping lines and terminals. The ferry industry, where I'm in at the moment, is also starting with some innovation. You also see that big technology companies are liaising with shipping companies to bring innovation. So it's happening all over the place, and probably it's a combination of the low-hanging fruits that are being picked up, as well as some very impactful things and initiatives that are under a lot of pressure, such as decarbonization, where big changes are coming through now. But it's a journey. And you need companies that are willing to take a risk and a leap of faith and invest in trying things and maybe failing, such as on alternative fuels for ships. So it's happening all over the industry, I would say.
Yeah, and it's exciting to be part of it, I think.
Absolutely, yeah.
Did you have a role model growing up?
Probably my grandmother.
And who was she?
She always would have liked to pursue a career, and I think she would have been really good at it, but she never did because it was just different times. But she really thought it was very important. I was the oldest grandkid, and she thought it was very important that I became independent and that I pursued a career and that I had the options that, she probably didn't have. So she always knew exactly what was going on at school, what I was studying, even though international business and languages was quite far away for her. But I always wanted to make her proud.
Mm. Who do you think I should interview the next? Who would you be interested in listening to in the shipping podcast?
I know quite some people with interesting stories, interesting life stories. And I really like what you're doing. So promoting the shipping industry and making it more accessible. So what you are doing is actually very, very important. Let me think about it.
Yes, you can think about it. Thank you very much for those kind words. Yes, I think it's important. And I think, I'm reaching so many young people because it's a way of listening to. When I was a child, I loved listening to the radio, but there are no radio shows on maritime or shipping or anything like that. It used to be in the old days, it probably were. Nowadays, it's sometimes the weather report is on the radio, but otherwise nothing.
Yeah.
And also it's like listening on demand. You can listen whenever you find the time, or if you're on a plane and you don't want to watch the movies you're in front of you or something like that. So I think podcasting for me has been very good. I can listen when I do other things.
Yeah.
I hate cleaning up and going for the groceries and things like that. So I listen to a podcast whilst I'm doing that. So I'm an addicted person to podcasts. I'm sorry to say, but I think that's why I also love doing this. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great. It's something I recently discovered, listening to podcasts, and I love it because also when you've been behind a computer the whole day, you don't necessarily want to watch another screen. And as you say, podcasts is always good when you do other stuff, and you can listen to interesting conversations and discussions. So no, I really like it as well, and I think it's a great forum to reach a lot of people.
And you can also learn so many things. I think there are more than 1 million different podcasts to listen to if you whatever you want to learn.
Yeah, all kinds of topics, indeed.
Yeah, and we need to be there as well. Thank you very much, Dita, for your time to speak to me. I was really happy that you found the time.
Yeah, thanks for having me, Lena, and it was an honor.
I hope to meet you in the future again in real life. Thank you, Dita. I will follow your future adventures with interest and see where they take you. So, do you have any plans for the coming year? What are you going to change from last year? Who are you going to collaborate with? I think that there is nothing like a new year So many unwritten pages and so much to look forward to. Today I was asked to comment on the fact that there are so many new maritime podcasts that has been released lately. And what do I think about that? Well, I think that is terrific. The more the merrier, and I think that we will all benefit from the fact that there are more maritime podcasts around. And I also think that we, the podcasters, would benefit from collaborating. There is so much that the companies in our industry should know about the media channel podcasting. We could help each other to educate the maritime marketing people and their bosses with the final saying on the budget, how to think when spending that marketing budget, and how to achieve whatever they are looking for. I know why I am doing this. I want to raise the maritime industry's profile and get more people to know about us. I'm passionate about reaching the next generation. If you are on the same page, please reach out to me by sending me an email to hello@shippingpodcast.com and we will take it from there. As always, from me to you, until the next time, over and out. Thank you for listening to the Shipping Podcast. Don't forget to tell everyone that you meet that there is a shipping podcast available and that they should download it and listen to the maritime professionals who are sharing their passion for the shipping industry.